and because of the lower water costs and the liability issues that this gentleman suggested. So from an economic point of view, it's easier to meet compliance standards than it is to meet your ecology. Now, I will tell you that most developers of new communities are looking at native California, or what we call California-friendly environments. And there's a wonderful nursery, if you ever go out on Ortega Highway, I forgot the name of it, Mystic Tree of Life. Absolutely one of the best places to go spend a Saturday, but they just sell native stuff. And more and more homeowner associations are changing out. Yes, sir?
I was going to say, I'm in the water conservation business for 25 years. You don't put artificial grass to save water. The first issue is really, I'm going to go back to its legal liabilities, street medians ideal, any place that could cause water runoff, it's chronic, perfect solution. The football fields, they're $1 million to put one in. It's just cheaper to pay the water, the maintenance cost is the same. LA school districts banned using them because the cost wasn't there. The heating effect is truly, you water it in 15 minutes, the heat's back up, so it's a dying thought. The reason the people in school districts do it, it's a beautiful looking field, they could put the school campus name on it. But for homeowners, the key issue I would look at is some places where grass can't grow, artificial grass is great. It gives you that nice green look in the corners and all that, but not for water saving.
And like shade areas, I guess.
Oh, it's, think of those areas that was always brown and brownouts.
That's the ones.
That's where you put it. But for street, for an HOA purposes, that legal liability is what I like.
Yes. Another thing too, desilting basins. I don't know if you guys know much about it, but Irvine Ranch Water District did state of the art. If you ever get a chance to go see the Rancho San Joaquin Wilderness Park, Conservation Park, unbelievable. Hill Hauser had a thing on it. It just knocked my socks off. Anyway, most communities were built that in a way that required builders to create reservoirs to trap the runoff during the construction so that it wouldn't get into the watershed and pollute downstream. So now we have communities with these desilting basins, and homeowners associations, and I don't know if any of you are responsible to maintain these things. When the science on maintenance of these things wasn't really clear, but what we found is that there's a tremendous opportunity for grant money from the federal and state level, because these things turn out to be wetlands. And they make perfect interpretive centers and nature centers for kids and schools and local communities. So if you know somebody, in fact, Moreno Valley is one of our current clients, Moreno Valley Homeowner Association, and they just found out they're going to be spending well in excess of $1 million to dredge their desilting basins, because the silt is filled up. But we're going to be looking at some good grant money for them to take care of that. Yes, ma'am?
I'm a little confused because I need some clarification on this water runoff. And I'm thinking about it in our little HOA. Is it the water that goes down from somebody's hose? Or I can't bring
Yes,
it back
it's
to a
separate.
little small association. I can see it, a big Irvine, the water runoff in general, but not within our
I'm going to let the gentleman in the back comment on that.
Okay.
I was responsible for the Irvine Ranch water runoff study. I'm doing one up in Malibu. But in essence, runoff, what we're talking about runoff here is called dry season runoff. They come from your homes. The number one cause of dry season runoff is everybody's lawns here. And what the real problem is the fertilizers you put on the lawns mixes with the fecal matter, which comes from either animals or birds, that causes the algae blooms, which is really the problem that we're facing along the oceans. That's the bacteria from the algae blooms. That's what they're after. The rest of the pollutant contents is random.
So it's not through the sod, it's on the hardscape down to the sewers?
Yes, and I will say that in our problem here, for homeowners, anything within 10 feet of concrete is the cause and the source of the problem. It's not your backyard trying to get water to your front. It's right along the front edge. So when people run their system for 10 or 15 minutes, and the solution for everybody here is go home, run your clock, time it, and if you're if it takes 5 minutes to have water running off your property, that's the time you know your interval's got to be. And the source of most of our problems in our community is people they don't pay attention, their water runs off. Well, what happens for all of us here is we're causing the runoff. and it's usually our clock. So we pay a lot of money for these weather-based controllers, which we do. But really, the value is just getting that schedule really tight.
So how will they police it? They,
I'll tell you how they're gonna believe it.
Just
They're gonna
drive
Drive by
and
with a
see.
picture. Oh, yeah,
I mean, if you have 1 gallon versus 100 gallon,
care.
the
They don't
penalty will be the
care.
same.
they don't care.
I will tell you that they currently, were Newport, they cite and they fine. I was in charge of Las Vegas, we cited and fined people for water runoff. Usually the runoff was targeted toward people with contaminants. That means you're the guy putting poisons and toxins down the stream. That's what they're after. But once these new laws go into effect, all about the drought, they're asking you, hey, look, now we're gonna cite you. And so the purpose here, in a lot of the discussion is, how do you get rid of that runoff? Because really runoff is a reflection, you know you got water waste if you got runoff.
Well, what's the policy on washing your car in the driveway? That's
Actually, there's a new policy that you're not allowed to wash your car in your driveway,
Yes.
or you wash it on the lawn so there's no runoff.
Yes.
Is that in effect now, or is it?
Each
It's
community.
a rolling, yeah, it's
Each
a rolling,
community's
it's a roll, what they have is they have what they call a rolling status. Each community is different, and each one has like a phase 1 emergency. It's kind of like the swine flu thing, you know, I think today they announced we're pandemic 5 or something.
Yeah.
In the city of Los Angeles, you get fined. In Lake Forest, I can't say.
In Rancho Santa Margarita, they haven't yet said you can't, but they're probably in the next month and a half, they're gonna say you cannot. You can wash your car, but you have to have an automatic turnoff at the hose end so that you don't just drop the hose and let the water run. It automatically shuts off when you drop it. And if you don't, they have people that, and cities are making money on this stuff. They're
What if
driving
you
by
had
it.
interlocking pavers in your driveway and it would soak through? No, seriously.
Well, I guess that would be a defense, but here's the problem,
Yeah.
you know, meanwhile, you're on somebody's list and somebody's gonna come after
But
you.
they say that in cities, they're saying, you know, you're changing if you're getting, so it gets into the groundwater.
Well, in fact, they make a porous concrete,
Or something, yeah,
For
where
that
it
purpose.
gets down.
but again, people aren't gonna take names and they're just driving by and snapping pictures. Because cities don't have, in fact, there's another cottage. Did I see a hand over here?
I was gonna say what they're really after is the shopping center here. The shopping center has water coming off of those pavers. The most contaminated area is that parking lot. That migrates the pollution. The pollution from all the cars is sitting there, and that's what they're going after. So the first one they're citing is them. And that's really, they're not really trying to chase mom and pop politically. It's not popular. Believe me, you don't want to drag homeowners into that. But they're gonna go after all the commercial, which would no be doubt like this HOA. It's a parking lot. That's the most polluted area, is that parking lot. And if you have a lot of runoff coming for it, they're gonna start thinking, when we do this, is they cite you, they warn you. But if they know, if they consider you a bad guy, that's
Well,
what
now
they're
they're,
after.
now they're really going, they're sinking their teeth in. Yes, sir.
It sounds like you're taking the practical approach. This is gonna happen, so just be prepared for that. Are there any people out there still challenging the cap and trade issue?
Yes, there are, unsuccessfully. I'm being pragmatic. I can tell you, yeah, you know, fight the good fight, but you know, folks, you're fiduciaries. If you're managing your community's funds, it would be a mistake for you to bet on that horse.
Yeah, those people out there, they're in such a position.
They're appointed.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You know, a lot of this stuff is piecemeal that they're doing now. Is there an overall comprehensive plan? Because, you know, there's new developments. If we have this water crisis, how can there be continuing new developments? Are there redevelopment incentives for existing areas coming down the pike? Because, you know, all this stuff has been rehashed year after, you know, years. By year 2000, we were supposed to have over 200,000 electric cars on the streets of California, and that legislation got removed.
By the federal government.
Yeah, because, you know, business comes in and says, we can't do this, you know, we're still stuck with the same automobile we've had for 100 years, you know, and we don't have a comprehensive overall approach to how we're going to manage this environment that we live in.
Excellent question.
And
let me just comment on it. A new day is happening. It's a new day. The Bush era and the old way of dealing with environmental issues is gone. The Supreme Court of the United States has ruled that the federal EPA standards do not trump always the state mandates. Massachusetts